G'day everyone, and welcome to Group 7's presentation on Psychology of the Athlete. I am Matthew Carlin and presenting on behalf of my two other group members, Sharon Bunt and Rachel Stock. We aim to present you today information for junior rugby league players prior to playing in the NRL.
You made your debut in 2004, 18 years of age. And everyone who'd seen you play as a kid knew you were going to be a great player, but you stamped your authority straight away. The first couple of years, a lot of injury, a lot of setbacks. In hindsight, at 18 years of age, were you ready for first grade, do you think?
I think mentally I thought I was, and then, after a couple of games I knew I was, but probably physically, the bones in my body probably wasn't fully developed, and that's where I got a lot of injuries. I think it was tough on me because I was a forward. I was chucked in the deep end, trying to, in the way that I play, I try and spout blokes all the time, and I think in hindsight it wasn't good for my body.
Pressure is difficult for any athlete, but when they are thrust into the spotlight, athletes have been known to crumble under pressure. The media, mostly newspapers and television, can work both positively and negatively for athletes. When an athlete is performing well, they receive much media coverage and accolades for all the right reasons, which can be a great motivator for the athlete to perform at their absolute best. Media will set very high expectations of some players, perhaps with a relation to representative selection, and for some this is motivation to perform. Sadly for others, it may have just the opposite effect. Furthermore, if an athlete is caught in an unfavourable or certainly illegal situation, the media will grab the story with both hands and milk it for everything it's worth, be it fair or not. The athlete will be hung before trial. This can be a very tough learning curve, and some may never recover from this kind of pressure. Support from team members, coaches and support staff will generally be positive for anyone joining a team. There's also a negative side to tight team cohesion for some athletes. A player who does not like to attend lavish or wild parties may feel isolated from his team for not joining in everything his peers do. They may also suffer a loss of individualism by pressure to conform. Due to this pressure, an athlete may experience performance anxiety, which may be evident in their sporting performance. A team player never wants to let their teammates down. This pressure to perform consistently can in extreme cases lead to them taking performance-enhancing drugs or involving themselves in other activities so as to perform to the best of their ability and not let their team down, even in the strongest of players. Others seek a release from the ongoing pressure of continuous performance at the elite level by turning to alcohol and or drugs, and in some cases this can lead to addiction, which in turn will have all sorts of social and personal and professional ramifications. Few players recover unscathed from alcohol and or drug addiction.
You've only been retired from rugby league 4 months, so am I to assume that you were still taking drugs when your playing days? I mean, does it go back that far?
Yeah.
How far?
Probably 10 years. Yeah, probably 10 years. I've taken it on and off, generally during the off-season, but there's times when during the season I've run the gauntlet and played Russian roulette and taken it.
The pressures associated with performing to expectation can result in players behaving in such a way that their actions result in short or long-term suspension. Injury can also cause a similar isolation. There may be a feeling of guilt associated with the perception that the player has let their team down, a feeling of exile for not being able to truly participate in the celebration victories or commiseration losses, and possibly a feeling of rejection by teammates. Professional athletes are role models, whether they like it or not, to junior players and other aspiring athletes, and therefore there is an expectation to behave as such. This is a massive responsibility and one that can be extremely difficult to manage. Many players fail in this regard as they may have never wished for such a responsibility. Unfortunately, it goes with the territory, and it should be treated as a privilege and not a burden.
With the debut comes notoriety, comes fame, comes big money contracts, comes a lot of public scrutiny. Were you ready for that at a young age?
Definitely not. No. Like I said, I'm quite a shy person, just like most of the young pollies running around this day and age, but I don't know, I guess it did have an effect on me.
Psychological assistance and/or guidance may be required throughout the entire career of athletes and beyond, not just when they hit rock bottom. This guidance may assist in the prevention of future bad behaviours if help is sought soon enough. The NRL is working with all clubs to train suitably qualified staff to assess their players and provide ongoing psychological guidance to help them deal with the pressures of the territory. Younger players are now indoctrinated and educated at rookie camp, covering various educational issues in workshop sessions. These include responsible drinking, illicit drugs, performance-enhancing drugs, media, networking skills, and attitudes towards women and other game-related topics. In previous times, men in particular have been led to believe that to require psychological guidance, assistance or intervention was a sign of weakness and was frowned upon. However, more recently, heavy advertising and the speaking out by stars such as Andrew Johns, Jonathan Thurston or even Tim Smith, who have dealt with some pretty heavy issues, have made psychological stress and more seriously mental illness more understood and accepted by the general public. Athletes are often proud, albeit egotistical people, and often too embarrassed or ashamed to ask for help for fear of possible retribution. It's a positive step to realise one's limitations and seek help. This action is to be applauded by peers, support staff, fans and the greater population.
It's funny, you see other players and I see mates who have gone positive and you think, I'd hate to be in this situation. I can't imagine how humiliating and embarrassing and it would be for yourself. But until it's you in front of the paper with your head there, I can't describe how humiliating it is for not only you.
Davies!
In the video clip you have just seen, these are our future athletes. Let's look after them as best we can and guide them to the success they deserve.